Yeah.
And let Joe know where your boxes are.
You good? We're going to go for our first shop day. Set. And action!
The story is about a jaded taxi driver who has not driven the night for like 18 years. He tries to make the best of his last days of being a taxi driver. Silva is a veteran actor. My last TV project with him, he was just called a day to do a very small role. And he was an absolute pleasure. I mean, there were certain things that I liked about him, and that's when I realized, hey, he is a fine actor. And when this project came about and I was looking for Uncle, a few names came about. And I always, sometimes I work things with my gut, so I told the production team, you know, look here, let's just call this man. I've worked with him, I think he'll be the best. What we wanted to illustrate is the characters which taxi drivers or taxi uncles, we always take for granted and call them uncle, 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 and the kind of passengers they go through. And actually, when we were researching a lot about and talking to a lot of taxi drivers, I think some of the characters they even mentioned are far worse than what we are portraying, especially the drivers who drive at night.
Hey, you blind or what?
Sorry.
You want to die? Go to the building and jump down lah. No, my car.
俊杰，回来，回来！到处乱跑，很危险，你知不知道？
Li Fang is a mom with a 8-year-old son. She worked as a cleaner in the canteen. And one night when she bringing her son to work, she fell down by a driver, and then the uncle is very kind person. He come and help them. At the beginning, Li Fang didn't trust uncle because it's a stranger and it's a male. She don't know what will happen if they get in touch with each other. So at the beginning, she is just want to push uncle away, don't want to get his help.
When we wrote the character for Li Fang, we had two ways to go about it. Either she's going to be a mother who is from a PRC background, someone who comes from China, and then if we needed someone like that, it has to be really authentic. So Carrie was the clear choice for that.
It's amazing how much you can lie and live with. I'll be honest. You're not my first time.
Claudia, she is a married woman and she is looking for companionship because I think that she is quite lonesome. So Claudia basically tries to make friends with her uncle. She's quite seductive and eventually propositions him to come upstairs and have a drink with her. She identifies somewhat with his lonesomeness because seeing that he drives his taxi alone at a rather lonesome hour, lonely hour. Claudia is also someone who speaks quite a lot. She talks quite a lot. And I think maybe it's her loneliness that makes her want to say a lot of things, and sometimes it's interesting that she just goes on, off tangent, and she goes into these stories, you know, in her mind. It's a very interesting character.
I've worked with Karen twice. I think she's a very underrated actress, in my opinion. You can just tell, sometimes you can just feel when people are just acting from within. And so when Claudia came about, even though it was a very small role, but it had to have that kind of impact, and Yeah, and I think she auditioned for a few roles for this show. And then she called me, she said, I feel so much for Claudia. I really love the character a lot. So I was like, okay, let's just go then.
Don't know how to say Samantha, is it? Sam. Small girl also so scared.
You also what? See old lady also scared and run away. How old are you? Do you like running? What's your name?
No.
And is it expensive to buy those brush?
Of course.
Hey,
I need to go toilet, excuse me.
Tell me your name and who do you play?
My name is Alfred and I play with my friend.
How Alfred was selected was basically, I think he had a very adorable face, and the entire casting team and the production team realized that he had this face that you won't get angry over, and we needed that kind of boy. And when he came for auditions, I felt that he was a bit raw, but there was something in him, and he had a screen presence, and I told myself, okay, it might be a challenge, but let's just go with it.
Must finish the interview with one good one.
Finish already.
Pose.
It takes quite a bit of time to set up each shot because of the rigs, and practically, at least for the first setup, it takes an hour. Subsequent ones about like 15 minutes. Yeah, but it takes time.
I think there are a lot of points that you have to take note of. You have to take note of safety in terms of crew and your cast and when you're shooting it. So that sort of decides whether or not you should use a tow truck, whether or not they're shooting on their own. And then after that, the creative aspect of it. If you're going to use a tow truck or if you're not, that limits the kind of shots that you can get. And also, depending on the kind of rigging that you have, that sort of influences the degree of involvement with the traffic police. So you have to work closely with LTA. But I think the main part that was the trickiest for me and my producing team was, so I was actually not very sure with a lot of roads, even though I've been driving for a while. So finding the roads that would fit our needs in terms of having 3 lanes, not being busy at the certain periods that we actually needed them, and also just tree cover, just simple things like that. There were so many variables and they all had to work at the same time.
It's very sleepy. At daytime, I still have to take care of my real kids, take care of my family, and cannot really have a good rest. Then at night, cannot sleep and film from evening to the other day. Then I feel like even I walk in, I feel like flying.
Give myself a pat for being so energetic at this hour. I managed to pull through 5 nights.
Yeah.
This is my 5th night now.
I think is it as bad as you thought you'd be expected? I think
I think yesterday was the peak for me. I was dead tired. I don't know whether the last scene, the one, the one was a bit. I was yawning away, sitting in the car and telling you these 2 dozed off, the mother and son.
I think the main thing that we're really worried about is having a child talent. With a child talent, because as children, they're not like adults, so they can't really regulate their body as much or have as much control as we would. So if they're tired or anything, they just shut down, even though they don't want to, or they get cranky, it's beyond them. So that was our biggest worry, to be very honest, whether or not we'll get performance, or if Uncle, our main character, whether or not he'll tune his body clock performance. And the other thing that comes about is safety, because everyone's inhibitions is lowered, so that gets everything worrying. But other than that, I think it's quite alright. You just need to find the right people, and with time, like by day 3, everyone sort of tuned their body clocks already, so that was okay. But I think what was really interesting that I didn't expect, like sort of the degree of difference, was the crew energy and the crew vibes. Like, I think we did 9 days of shoot, and on the 10th day when we finally did our first day shoot, right, like the energy was completely different, even though we're really excited.
Hey, hi. Hey, hey, hi, hi.
Working hard, working hard.
Morning energy different, ah?
Yeah, really.
I like morning.
9 nights, 2 days. So 9 nights means 9 real nights, like 7 to 7. Right? And when that happens, actually, it just didn't seem like it was 9 nights. It felt like it was times 2. It felt like we were on a feature shoot, frankly speaking. But I think a lot of us bonded. You know, we had problems, we had unforeseen problems, and in a nutshell, initially I was thinking, okay, this might be one of the toughest shoot I ever did in my life. But actually the past few days, at least the last night, I was telling my family and I was telling my friends that, hey, actually I'm enjoying this shoot. The team, there was something really organic, and I think a lot of them understood what the story about, at least after the first few days when they saw the characters. And, you know, I think that's what filmmaking is about. Sometimes, you know, it's this collaboration. That was the very sweet journey, I think. Kind of like brought me back to my film school days, trying to achieve so much with so little, which I was yearning for some time to go back. And it felt like a very small team trying to do something really big. And I don't think so. When you see on screen, it will seem like it's a very small team. You know? Yeah!